Hi. Happy Monday. If you're in the room, please do drop your name and where you're from. I will tell you today is a day that has not been my best. And I was so close to canceling this one. I have a flight coming up in a very short while. But I knew that whoever showed up today probably need to hear what I needed to say. So I am absolutely here for you right now. Long story short, in some of the business dealings that I'm doing in Africa, I came across an individual who is a white man, and immediately he assumed that I was small and needed him and could be leveraged for his gain. And he was very, very rude, very, very underhanded, telling me how he was going to leverage my work to help second and third generation Germans who were living in Africa, because they were the ones that were technologically literate and business literate. And it was a very, I would say, triggering experience for me, right? And again, I'm sharing this on purpose because my target audience is Black women. This encounter with this individual started about a week and a half ago, and usually I really heavily market these webinars, right? But it was sucking so much life out of me, this side separate thing, that I didn't do that because I didn't know if I could muster up, the energy to do this. But I knew that whoever was on the other side today probably needed to hear this. So long story short, it turned out that, so the company that I'm the chief credit officer for in Africa, they essentially, like I did say, hey, these are the vibes I'm getting, don't like it, right? But secretly, and this is what we do a lot, right? I confided with my family and said, man, like, this is triggering, right? Because this is what it was like in corporate America, where you play the game and you remain tight-lipped, and you see very blatantly that resources and time and focus is being taken off of us, right? And being leveraged for others. But I said this to my family, right? And not necessarily the CEO of this company. Long story short, the CEO said, yeah, I'll talk to this person. And then today, I heard back from him where he said, hey, yeah, talk to the person. Yes, he's misogynistic. Yes, he's a tad bit racist, but we're going to do the business and not worry about that. And then the ball was in my court, right? Because, right, we know as Black women how to gracefully navigate through things, right? We know how to, we do this, right? We know how to hold the world up, right? And just take it, right, for generations in our lives. But it eats at us, right? And it takes things away. So, long story short, I did something that will forever be my energy. And I said, I'm a Black woman, which is the lowest rung on the ladder globally. And I must protect myself and must protect other Black women. And I said, misogyny and racism is not something that I have to settle for, right? And if we continue gracefully moving through these suffocating channels, nothing's going to get better, and it's going to serve everyone else but us. So this conflicts with who I am, who I'm serving. This conflicts for the very things that I'm working to dismantle and destroy. And that conflict rests in this business over here. It doesn't rest in my businesses. So I don't really know how I'm going to be able to move forward with this, right? And this wasn't a professional response, right? This wasn't a a response that had anything to do with numbers and sales, bro, or my competence, right? That wasn't question. It was where I'm deciding to put my energy, right? In the battles I'm choosing to fight. Patriarchy, yeah, we'll do that. Poverty for my people, yeah. Incompetence today for greater scaling tomorrow, no matter whether people see the importance of caping for Black women in the beginning or not. Yeah, but those battles, right? And the response was, wow, I need to protect you as well. So if it means I'll deal with this person 100% and not you and any other company you don't want to deal with, I deal with them, I'll do that. And I said, yes, thank you. That's where it's going to need to go. Right. So I tell you this because thank you so much. So much, Nina. I tell you this because when you are starting a business, it's very, very easy to define, and I'm speaking relatively, right? Because running a business is not easy, right? But it, relatively speaking, is very, very easy to define your internal culture, right? And to define your target customer, right? To define the solutions that you're offering, because you do not have to offer it all, right? There will be other people that reach areas that you do not, right? And that is good, that is normal, that is how it goes. But when you will, right? When you enter into partnerships, right? So that you can expand your reach, when you enter onto stages, right? Because it will expand your exposure. When you decide to do certain things to add to your cash flow, right? Which is my strategy in this role. C-suite is super fire, right? I'm running a whole business segment with this company, right? But it aligns to what I want to do, in that it'll give me cash flow for my businesses. It is breaking chains for Black people in Africa, right? In an area that I have expertise in, right? Loans, so on and so forth. You don't, in those settings, you don't define the culture. You don't define the hard stops and the no's, right? And it is common for us to go gracefully, right? That's what Big Mama and them did, right? That's what we've done in our work environments. But I'm just sharing this with you because I've decided to take things like affirmations further. Instead of just looking in the mirror and saying I'm worthy, right, so that I can handle these situations, I'm demonstrating that I'm worthy, right? So demonstrate that you're worthy, because these are the decisions that make things different for our daughters 30 years from today, right? These are the conversations that take place so that they don't have to be had, right, in 40 years when our daughters reach boardrooms, right, and executive tables. So keep going, sis. I damn sure am. I damn sure am. That's all I'll say on that. So this one will be a continuation, Nina, of what we talked about in the last webinar around finding your target customers, right? This time it is about, conducting market research, which is so important. Amen. You can't just say it, you have to act and be it. And that's a heroic act. I'm telling you, and you might know this, but I'm telling you, because most, and I want to say almost all don't, right? Because these are the conversations that will never be televised, right? These are the conversations that nobody will know about, right? But this is what's critical for moving the needle, because let's face it, like, let's be real. 40 years ago, our mamas was in the same position, right? Like, somebody got to do something. And the few of us who are willing to do it is so important. Okay, so this is so important, right? So last week, or not last week, 2 weeks ago, we talked about finding your target customers and the importance of that, right? And you need to join them where they are, right? You need to not try so hard to get them to migrate to where you are, your website and your conference, right? Wherever your business cards are being passed out, but like, understand them enough to show it where they are, right? And make that process frictionless for them, right? there's another part of that, so I'm gonna call this the 2.0 version. And because you've done the first piece, Nina, and again, like, you are meant to be here. I literally did not do any marketing for this one right here, like zero, right? So you are meant to be here, and I really challenge you to do this. Like, don't wait, like, progress over perfection, right? And you continue to refine it as you go. But I'm telling you, if you do these two pieces, finding your target customer, right, and then conducting market research, you will be able to get dollars so early. And I'm talking about premium dollars if you want, right? Like, if you're offering what's called like luxury items or premium items, you'll be able to get it so much faster than most, and that's across any race, right? Than most do in their startup. Because again, like, you know how to find them, the customers, and know how to speak to them. So, and I'm speaking this from experience, right? These are things that I did, and I converted ASAP, like almost instantaneously, right? Within, I don't know, 7 days, literally, of starting my business, right? So, conducting market research. I'll keep this very simple. If you have any questions, definitely drop them in the chat. I'll send you this replay right after this. It'll probably take a few minutes to calibrate, but I'll send it to you right after this, Nina. But the first step in conducting market research is identifying your target audience, right? And we talked about that last time, but let's just think about what those things mean. Like, what is their age, right? Where are they located? That matters. And like, very specifically, right? Like, where are they located? Is it, if it's within certain states, is it rural communities, right? Is it urban and developed communities? Is it hipster communities, right? Et cetera. Gender, what is their gender? Income, that's huge, right? Because as you're pricing your product, you really understand like what your people are after, right? Is this the group that's after a bang for their buck? Is this the group that's after premium luxury products, right? Is this the group that's looking to invest in things that kind of educate them, right? But are very tight when it comes to things that feel like splurging, right? Like, understanding those things. And what I just described is probably like your 20-year-olds or your like upper teens, like college profile students, right? Family size, right? Even getting there, like, what is their family size, right? And I'm sure you can think instantaneously, Nina, or about how messaging around that, getting that right, can trigger somebody quickly, right? Because not every product that's being marketed is saying, you know, do you have 2 kids and you're blah blah blah. But that, if you hear that, instantly your ears will perk up where mine won't, right? So yeah, family size, relationship status, right? Is it for single people? Is it for divorced people, right? Is it for engaged people, right? Like, marketing to engaged people, that's powerful right there, right? Sales can convert very, very quickly if you get that right. Education, job title, interests, their biggest challenges and their goals. And I said that's the biggest one, right? Hi, welcome to the room. If you're here, please drop your name or not your name, but where you're coming in from in the chat. But yes, so getting these right is critical. Now, deepening that, it's important to understand that you're going to have sub-segments, sub-audiences within each of these. Don't worry about this too much in the beginning, right? But as you start to flesh this out, right, like, it's important to understand that you're going to have sub-segments within this, right? So if I can explain what that means for me, I know that my clients that are older, and I mean like on the 55 plus range, they're going to spend a lot of money, right? They're going to spend a lot of money to digitize and become current in a way where I'm holding their hand or doing it for them, right? So these are the people that are just not comfortable watching a whole bunch of webinars and reading a bunch of blogs and trying to do it themselves. Like, they are so far removed from technology and the advancement of that technology, right? They're willing to pay $6,000, $7,000, $8,000 for me to hold their hand, like, very, very, very closely, or just do it entirely for them, right? So I understand that sub segment of my audience. I know how to talk to them. I know how to say things like, are you needing to move digitally, right? But you don't know where to start, or you don't know how to, tinker with all of this, or you just need me to take it off your plate, right? I don't necessarily say that to my younger audience that's in their 30s, right? Like, they don't necessarily like need me to do it for them. They need me to tell them how to do it, and they'll save, 70% on what this older target market is paying for, right? So that is an example on my side, right? But just know that, so that as you start identifying what those are, you can tag them internally in your MailChimps, for example, or your active campaigns, et cetera, et cetera. There are so many marketing campaign platforms, but you should start tagging them as you identify those people, those segments, so that you can speak to them separately or differently, right? So I'll give another example of a sub audience. So I have an audience now of 2,000 people, right, on my listserv, right, for the consulting that I do. But I know that the Blaze Women's Network, right, is a sub audience, because these are the people who they're not just following and listening for free information, right, or some updates and some tips, etc., right, that just happen to come along their way. These are the people that I've leaned in more and said, hey, like, I want to be a part of this tribe. I'm actually really, really interested in the targeted things that you have for Black women around education, blah, 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 right? So when I speak to them, I know I'm offering them mentorship, opportunities. I'm offering them, very, very frequent webinars. I'm offering them the Blaze Business Intensive, et cetera. That's not offered to the entire segment, right? Or the entire audience. All right, so I've beaten that drum a whole lot. I will give another tip on this side and say, definitely, like I mentioned, right, start writing that profile. You might feel like it's you. If you feel like it's you, cool, start there, but it will probably change, right, as you can start doing your market research. But the last thing I'll say on this note is to leverage your insights today that are given on Facebook and Instagram, right? So if you plan to market through your page, right, you want to see if your target audience is following you, right? Because that is where a lot of your marketing activity will take place. And your insights there will tell you things like the age or the, it'll tell you the age split, right? It's going to tell you which people are between 13 and 17 and 18 to 24, right? And 25 to 34 and 35. I mean, it'll tell you that split, right? It'll tell you what percentage of your followers are that, right? It'll tell you a gender split, right? Is it 55% men, 45% women, et cetera, right? It'll tell you things like that their peak hours on the platforms, right, which is important, right, because if you want a bigger bang for your buck, right, or a bigger bang for your time, releasing that post when they're really, really on there, right, versus the times where it's really, really low, you might get more response rates, engagement. Play around with it. It doesn't necessarily mean that, right, but you can leverage that for strategy. But yeah, so dig into those insights and continuously dig into those insights as you go along to see if your strategies are working and you're starting to shift your audience, your followers, right, to be what your profile is, right? Because that should be the goal. Don't worry about scaring off family and friends who don't want to like be marketed to. That's a natural feeling in the beginning. We've all gone through that. I even did in the beginning, but yeah, just don't worry about that. Like, I'm not dismissing it and saying it's silly, but your family and friends, they know how to ignore the things that don't pertain to them, but really they're going to be your biggest cheerleaders and reshare and retweet and repost and all of that. But as your audience grows, at least you know it's more so customers instead of it staying stagnant with family and friends, right? The new followers that you get, those are customers, right? So you are, again, just giving yourself the ability to market to people. And so those last followers you can DM and direct message, right? Because these are customers, right? These aren't family and friends. All right, so moving on. Check out your competition. So I hinted to that the last time, right? And for those of you in the course, right, you know that that's actually something you're gonna, like an assignment you're gonna do, right? Where you're gonna really, really deep dive into what they're offering. I want to take that and put that separate from the business plan and market analysis. Beautiful, right? But I want to take that and put this in the mindset of conducting market research. When you take a look at your competitors, you want to understand where your pricing is compared to them. Not necessarily so you can undercut their pricing. That can be a strategy, right? That can absolutely be a strategy. You seeing what your customers are typically paying. Maybe you look across 6 different competitors and you see a trend there, right? Where they're usually paying, a certain price for the product that you're offering, right? You could take a strategy of undercutting that. That could be a promotion item. Or you could also look at what they're offering and kind of position yourself to be a luxury item, right? So you, instead of underselling, right? Instead of undervaluing what you're giving, if you're seeing that you either want to or already do give something that's more premium than what they're offering, and then you see your price is the same as these other people, that should give you an indication that you need to up your price, right? So leverage it from that standpoint. Also use it to understand, use this customer or this competitive analysis to understand what marketing strategies your customers are responding to, right? So if you obviously go to the websites, right? On the website, if you see certain campaigns that are saying, do this and we'll do this, right? That's a marketing campaign, right? So study kind of what they're doing so you can try the same thing. Do not try to reinvent the wheel. Go to their Instagram pages and see, again, like what marketing campaigns they're doing or what marketing tactics they're using, right? Are they reposting viral memes and putting a spin on it, right? Is that getting them the 25,000 clicks that really drive people to their websites, right? Are they doing things like comment below and share this post for a chance to win XYZ, right? So many different tactics out there, but by you looking at your competitors, again, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. You take the things that are working. How do you know that it's working? I'm glad you asked. Look at engagement on those posts, right? If you see a whole bunch of comments under it, then it's probably working, right? If you see a whole bunch of likes under it, it's probably working, right? So look at the things that are getting the most traction. And again, you can deploy those things as well. And then the last thing I'll point out on this point around kind of leveraging, what your competitors are doing to conduct market research. Take a look at what they're doing, especially if you're starting this business, right? Because the one thing that you don't have on your side is having history to have intuition around what your customers really want, right? The whole purpose of you doing this market research is so that you can figure out what they want, right? So when you're looking at your competitors, and comparing across and at least 6, man, so you really get a flavor, right, of what your customers like. Try to see what your customers are wanting in addition to the products or services that you're offering. What do I mean by that, right? Are you seeing a trend of free trials, right, being offered with these products and services? It might be an indication that that's what your customers like, right? Are you seeing consultations, right, that are being offered in addition to the products and services, right? It might be, and as you can imagine, right, different products, different industries, right, they're going to be different, right? So you have to see what's applicable for what your space, right? So if you're saying that consultations are offered in addition to, right, the products and services that are standard, right, in your industry or in your offering, in your niche, right, then that gives you an indication that that's what your customers like, right? And then again, you deploy the strategy, so you see if it works, and if that's really baiting people, and then okay, like I know what my customers like, I know what they need, right? Now the next piece of this, so talked about identifying your target audience, right? If you were on the previous webinar, you really have a good understanding of why that's important, and how to humanize that and make it easy for yourself. Join them, WWJD. Number 2, check out your competitors, right? If you're in the course, you already have a framework of doing so. But again, I want you to kind of shift that mindset even outside of your business plan and think about using it for conducting market research to really understand what your customers want, right? And then lastly, it is so important to engage. And this one, on this front, is where you're going to use the most creativity, right? Where you're going to you can have a blank slate here, right? But do this early and do this often. So How do you engage, and what do I mean by engage? In the engagement piece, you are really letting the customer tell you in their own words, right, on their own time, what they want, right? So some examples of that would be holding focus groups, right? You can decide to leverage Facebook, again, where family and friends are, right? And those that fit your profile, they'll raise their hand in a minute to, sit on a 5-minute focus group call, right? Or sorry, a 5-person focus group call with you, as well as reposting, your request for some focus group conversations, right? And you'll, again, get more of your target customers in. And in that focus group conversation, you can ask real questions, right? And go around the horn, right? And see what their responses are. I think focus groups are really powerful in that the more people share, it pulls even more out of other people, and you start getting very tailored testimonies around the same issue. And again, it helps you because when you're marketing the same thing 5 times, you can put 5 different spins on it, right? Use 5 different stories around pain points, right? But focus groups is a way to go. Doing one-on-one interviews, right? These exploratory conversations is effective. I did that heavily when I started my business, and it was amazing. And I saw trends across people, to be honest, as well. Like most of them were telling me the same things in their separate sessions, which really showed me that this is the #1 pain point for my group. Right. So that's really powerful. I know it wasn't groupthink, right? So again, I've talked in previous webinars around leveraging things like acuity scheduling, right, for conversations. But of course, you can do that. You don't need any tech to do one-on-one, interview conversations. Like you have an email, right? You can set it up that way. But if you want to do it efficiently, you can leverage a scheduling tool. But anyway, you put out a request to have one-on-one conversations with people, in your target group. And I would kind of start that kind of establishing your authority in your lane, right? Saying, you have did XYZ for yourself and you want to do the same for others. Is there anyone who wants to have a one-on-one conversation, right? You could, and that really, I can say that gets the most hits, like seeing that you've already done what they're trying to do. Another thing you can do to establish your authority is saying, hey, I study XYZ. And I am on a mission, right, to solve XYZ pain point for people. I'd love to have a one-on-one conversation. Let me know if you're interested. Drop a comment below if you're interested. It depends on who your target audience is, but I will say don't assume that the thing where you're talking about your credentials is the one that's going to get the most responses. Because some people, and depends on who you're targeting, they can even be intimidated by that. Right, and think they're not worthy, right? So it's really those things that humanizes you, and shows that you've been where somebody is, right? That you've been where somebody is. Like those are the types of posts and requests that gets the most engagement. But again, like this is where you get to use your full creativity, but do it early and do it often, right? But ask the right questions. Make sure you're asking the same questions. You can add more to the conversation, but make sure you're asking the same questions across each person so that you get data, right? So you start building data that is consistent, that you start seeing themes across, right? Another thing that you can do, so I've mentioned focus groups, I've mentioned one-on-one interviews. Another thing that you can do is doing surveys, right? Where you are literally emailing people surveys, right? If you want to use tech, again, you don't have to use tech here, but if you want to use tech, you can use Google Forms. Write that down, Google Forms. It is absolutely free. It allows you to create surveys, and you can literally send a link, and anybody that answers, you get those responses, and you start to see, it'll show you graphs, right, to see what the most common responses are. Google Forms is absolutely free. I've definitely used it. A fancier, cuter version of Google Forms is called Typeform. Please write that down, Typeform. Typeform is fire. They do have a free version of it that has the branding on it. But again, like don't get bogged down in perfection, right? It's progress over perfection. So you can always start with Google Forms and then later, right, make the aesthetic of your forms look better with Typeform. But Typeform, It's just a cool process, man. Like if you ever done a form where it asks you a question the first time, it says, hey, what's your name? And you put in your name, it's like, hi, Casey, nice to meet you, so and so and so, and you put that in, you know, like where it feels like you're having a conversation and you actually like love doing the survey. That was type form. 9 times out of 10, I love type form. I love making type forms as well, and I get very, very quick responses from type form. Google form as well. I get good responses there because I know I send these forms on purpose, right, with purpose and intentionality, usually right after something has happened to make me top of mind for them. So maybe it's like the day after a phone conversation, right? And your situation is kind of cold, right? So if you put out a post, for instance, as you get those I'm interested, like send out the Google form or the type form, whatever, like very quickly, right, within 24 hours, so you're still top of mind for them. But surveys are good, and they're time efficient, right? Because you create the survey one time, right? And that's going to take some time, but rather than asking those same questions to several different people over and over again, they do it on their own time, right? And then you get the responses back and start seeing what the trends are. What can be tough about surveys is that people are doing it on their own time, right? So you might not get the responses as quickly as you desire to, right? A way around that, and I've used this, is if you have Facebook groups that you're in, right? You can do a post, but create a poll, right? So in that poll, you put these survey responses, and people in Facebook, I don't know why, we just always clicking around. I think people are excited about a way to click, right? Kind of like Instagram stories. If you can click it, you will, right? But people respond to those very, very quickly. So that's a way around that lag in time that you just traditionally see when you kind of email a survey. But yeah, you can put those in Facebook groups. You can join groups that you aren't in today, right? Like depending on what your niche is, right? Do searches on Facebook groups, like use buzzwords, right? Like certain attributes of your target audience. You kind of use those buzzwords that you look for groups, Facebook groups. And once you're in there, create a poll, right? And do it across, and in 24 hours, right? Like just check and see what your responses were. Write it down real fast, right? And you have market research, you have market data, right? And you can use that for developing your products or marketing your products, right? For providing follow-up offers, right? After the first one kind of hits, right? You already know what the next level is for them. So do that. I'll put a note, and this is for longer term, but I think it's important to mention here now. Even though surveys have a longer lag response time, engaging frequently and or early and often is so important. And so the often piece means even after, right, you've gotten a customer in, doing surveys is so critical for business. It is a staple piece of the way I do business, in that I don't care how long I've been serving you. After we have a meeting or a product servicing that you paid for, I send you an email with a link to do a survey, and getting that real-time feedback is so critical. Like it literally allows me to see, you know, whether someone rates my service is exceptional, average, right, below average. It allows me to capture verbatims, right? And again, it's within 24 hours, right? So it's still fresh in their minds, which is the best time to have surveys conducted. But they can put in comments around what they love the most, right? They can let me know if they would refer the service to a friend. If I ever see that they wouldn't, that means it's something I need to fix, right? Because word of mouth it can be a maker or a breaker for business, right? People take that as gospel, right? If it's coming from somebody you trust, right? I leverage surveys to understand where my traffic is coming from, right? I was actually very surprised to see when I initially started these surveys that my leads were coming from Facebook, right? I'm not even on Facebook a lot, right? I've set up some stuff, right, on Facebook to kind of work for me, right? And anytime I post on Instagram, those posts absolutely show up on Facebook. But I was sleeping on Facebook, right? But again, going back to who your target audience is, for my premium luxury offerings, and it's not all of my clients, right? But in the instances, and this is exactly what it was, in the instances where it's an older audience, right, that is willing to pay a lot of money for somebody to do exceptionally well, right, what they don't have the acumen to do today from a digital perspective, they're on Facebook, not Instagram, right? They're on Facebook, not Instagram, right? And so that's where that early traffic came from, and a lot of those high ticket purchases came from, right? So the data tells you that. And so the data showed me, oh man, I need to lean into Facebook even more. I need to be even more present on Facebook, right? Or if I want it to be coming from other places, you can, move your strategy in other areas and see if that survey tells you that it's working or not, right? But yeah, I just wanted to put that there because data, making data-driven decisions will save you so much time in business, and it will allow you to make a lot more money than you would have made otherwise, because you're not guessing and throwing things out there and not knowing who's receiving them, right? Like, you're intentionally aggregating data, using that to make decisions, right? And then measuring whether those strategies are effective or not. Like, don't miss that point, right? Do not miss that point. And it's not rocket science. Everything I talked about just now is leveraging data to make decisions, right? And it's all accessible and easy to do. Okay. So Nina says, would you recommend starting with family and friends that actually fit your initial audience metrics? No. I would recommend, and I mean this, I'm saying this with my gut, Nina. I would put it out there where family and friends can see it, but as well as anybody else. Like, do not limit that call out there, that net, to family and friends. We'll want to do it because it feels safer, right? And we want to be perfect in front of everybody and have ourselves together. But it's progress over perfection, and you're going to be so surprised at the people who end up helping you or joining in that you would have thought wouldn't have, right? That goes back to us knowing that we're worthy and powerful and already enough, and and it's an everyday journey, right? But no, don't limit it. Do not limit it. Do it where, yes, they can help, right? But you want to do it in such a way where the people that respond are your target audience. Let them tell you. You don't tell them, right? So if you put a Facebook post out on your regular page, it doesn't need to be on the business page. I use my regular page, right? Say, hey, I'm doing this thing. And yes, that's scary as hell. I get it. Do it anyway. Do it scared, right? I'm doing this thing. I've been where you are. Or you can say, again, the thing where I've studied this, right? Again, people knowing that you've been where they are is powerful, but it's up to you. And I want to talk to a few people. And so you decide what you want to do, right? Whether you want to do one-on-one conversations or focus group, whatever, but let them know. And don't be afraid. Like, say, drop an emoji below if you're interested, right? Or DM me directly, but don't be afraid to say drop an emoji below. The power of that, and yes, it's scary, but the more you do it, you'll see like, oh man, I'm lit, because you are lit. The power of getting them to drop an emoji below is, one, is fun, right? They're not having to say like, I'm in desperate need, but it's just, but when they do that, other people see that engagement is happening, and so they're less afraid to do it as well, right? And you might have family and friends down there, but if they are down there, it's because they've self-identified as your audience, right? They've self-identified, right? And they've said for themselves, yo, I'm willing to get help from you. Not you begging and pleading. Like, we don't got time for that. We don't. Like, that's the energy we're on. So, yeah, be visible. Don't limit yourself to family and friends. Just throw it out there. Yes, I know that's a safety net. It is scary, right? But do it scared. Always do it scared. I'll leave more time for a few questions. Definitely write it before I log off. But while the questions are queuing, I will say, and this is separate from what we're talking about with conducting market research, but I will say leveraging family and friends to create your initial email list is super fire, and you should do it. So, and this is free game, powerful free game. I'll give you a 30-minute clip, right? This is powerful. This took me from literally 0 to 118 in 7 days in December. And today I'm at over 2,000, right? But like, this is powerful. So create and please write this down. I'm telling you it works. This is like good game in the 3-minute clip. So write down a statement, like a two to 3 sentence statement that says something like, hey, exclamation point. And if you want to put in a name, you can, but you don't have to go to your family and friends. Hey, exclamation point. I'm going to be helping blank, right? You put that in there, right? I'm going to be helping blank, and I'm going to be sharing all that I learned in the process, period. That's the second sentence, right? If you want to stay up to date on all that I'm learning, please share your email address. 3 sentences. Take that and do this. I'm telling you, time yourself. These are real procedural steps I'm telling you that will absolutely get you from 0 to 100. Could be more, right? Beat me. I got 118 in 7 days, right? Beat me. But it was 7 days, and I promise it was 48 hours. It was 48 hours because that's the challenge. That's the challenge that was given to me. Beat me in 48 hours. The person that challenged me, who was a coach at the time for me, right? So coaching is fire, right? Like, it takes you to the next level. I am a big proponent of coaching. I've done like 4 coaching programs since October, I promise. But the person that challenged me got to 148 hours. I, of course, wanted to kill that. So I got to 118. So beat me, right? So this is 48 hours. And I promise you, it can take you from 0 to 100 real quick. All right. So, the statement you're going to write down is, hey, exclamation point. It could be, hey, name, right? Whatever the name is, exclamation point. I am going to be helping blank. So blank means my blank would be, or my blank was, Black entrepreneurs growing or scale their businesses, right? So whatever your blank is. I'm going to be helping blank, and I'll be sharing all that I'm learning in the process, period. If you want to stay up to date on all that I'm learning, please send me your email address. Or I didn't even put please, because just put, if you want to, don't put please. If you want to stay up to date on all that I'm learning, send me your email address. And you can say, shoot me your email address, right? Whatever, right? Whatever sounds like you, right? And then you're going to set a timer, bruh. And you're going to set the timer for 5 minutes. And in those 5 minutes, you are going to copy paste that message into all of the last people that texted you in your phone. Copy paste it for all the last people that have texted you in your phone. Again, this top of mind thing works, right? But set a timer, and like, it literally takes you no more than 10 seconds to do each message, right? Because that blank you should already have in, right? You may just be adding a name. If you ain't adding a name, if you're just saying, hey, you don't have to add a name. If y'all just texted in the last couple of days and they know their name. But you copy paste that in there, 5 minutes, because yes, you're gonna be saying to yourself, I don't want to bother this person. I don't want to beg. That's what we do, right? That's what we do, and we should not. But 5 minutes, however many you get to in 5 minutes, and then you're free from that, right? But do it. I'm telling you, this will take you from 0 to 100 real quick, right? So you do that. You're gonna collect. Everybody's gonna say yes, and they're gonna send you their message. They're gonna send you their email address. Then you go to Instagram, okay? And all of the last people who you direct message with, you are going to set the timer for 10 minutes. 10 minutes. 10 minutes. And you are going to copy paste that message into all of the last people. And you got to go until 10 minutes ends, right? Who you direct message with, right? So yes, the first is a text message, right? Then you take that same message and you copy paste that into Instagram. People will respond. They're going to say, oh my gosh, I promise you, they're going to amp you so hard, but don't take my word for it. You'll see 10 minutes on Instagram, right? Copy paste that message into all of the people who most recently you was DMing with. After 10 minutes, stop. All right. So you've done 2 places, text message for 5 minutes, Instagram for 10 minutes. Go over to Facebook, set the timer for 10 minutes. Do the same thing. Go through your direct message list, all of the last people that you direct message with, drop that in there. 10 minutes. Just go into, and again, just copy, paste, copy, paste, copy, paste, copy, paste, copy, paste, right? 10 minutes. And after you get 10 minutes, stop. Go until 10 minutes, right? If you have ever thrown an event where you have received email addresses, right? So for me, I did a book launch, right? And so people RSVP'd for my book launch, right? And so I had an email list from that. I went to that system, the Eventbrite system that I threw that event through, and I grabbed those email addresses, right? If you've done a webinar or you whatever, right? I don't know, right? Whatever. If you've ever thrown an event, right, and people signed up for what you were offering, right? Go to that email list. If it's more than one, great, that's even better, right? But copy paste the message to all of those people. In this case, though, you already have their email address. So what you say in that last sentence is, so that's why I saved this for last on purpose. What you say in that last sentence is, let me know if you want to stay up to date on all that I'm learning, and I'll add you to the list. Let me know if you want to stay up to date on all that I'm learning, and I'll add you to the list. Let me know if you want to stay up to date on all that I'm learning, and I'll add you to the list. And in 48 hours, you're going to be shook. I'm telling you. In 48 hours, see how many you have. You will go from 0 to 100 real quick. And people are going to be thrilled to support you. I'm already excited for you. But yeah, do that. And I say that because if you want to leverage family and friends, that's the way to do it. Don't do it for this market research. No, you'll add them to your marketing list, right? So that you already have a base of at least 100, and then it'll grow real quick. But okay, let's see what we have in the chat. Jeans, okay, I'm going to do it like this week. Yeah, do it this week. Do it this week. I'm telling you, and do it scared. But you're going to get so many responses, it's going to gas you so much. That makes sense. Not identifying for them, allowing them to self-identify. Yeah, that's the key, right? Because, and this is going to be the energy you need to have throughout your whole business time. And this is what I fuss a lot about this with my clients. Like, you need to sell what your clients want, not what you think they want and you feel like they need. Nobody got time for that, right? Like we don't even listen to our family members that do that, right? Like nobody has time for that. Like you need to be selling what your clients have told you they want, period. Okay? So yeah, that's the energy. Allow them to self-identify and don't. Hey, I see you struggling over there, and you my cousin, so you need to come over here. Nah, like that's gonna be too much energy that you don't need. Like let them come to you after you've used the terminology and the language and identify the pain points that your target clients have, right? And then you move to the sale much quicker, right? Because you're talking to the people who actually want what you're offering. Would you recommend starting with family? Okay, sorry, I already did that one. Okay, beautiful. This is a great tactic. Yeah, it works too. It works. I want you to let me know where you get to. So if you're starting this week, that means by Sunday, 48 hours will have passed, right? And you'll have a number. So I want you to tell me what that number is, and you'll officially have started an email list with 100 people, right? Like it's fire. It's super fire. Okay. So thank you so much for joining. I knew, and these are the times where I'm intentional for myself, right? Because I know it's important to remember where I started, but also like I know I need people to fuel me along the way as well, right? So very, very rough last week, right? I was very triggered and just re-experience some traumas, right? Like the stuff that I would just internalize in corporate America, like just being faced with that again after I've left. I was really struggling, like, and I'm just like, nah, I'm not swallowing this. Like, I'm not choosing this. So yeah, I knew that I needed edification from the tribe, and you brought that. You said, use your voice boldly. You have an army within you, woo, and behind you. Wow, oh, I needed that. So thank you so much. Thank you for joining. And I hope you have an incredible week. I'm going to prepare to head to the airport and fly back to South Africa. But I love you deep. I mean that. I really do mean that. Thank you so much. This was great. You're amazing. On your space. Thank you. And right back at you. Right back at you. But thank you. I needed this, right? Like I needed to hear from a black woman today. A black woman, right? I needed to hear from you today, you know? Um, so thank you. I love you deep. Oh, look at my eyes tearing up. Oh, love you deep. All right, I'm gonna let you go. Take care. Bye.